Here's an example in which they give us a function. So they're giving us this sinusoidal function, and they're wanting us to come up with the function, the equation, right? Well, they want us to write the function here from the graph. So they give us the graph, we give them the function. How do we do that? How do we do that? Well, let's go back to the notes that I sent you and take a look. So it says right here, from a graph, how do you find the equation from a graph? Well, what you got to do is step number one, first find a box that contains positive or negative sign or positive or negative cosine, remembering that this is what you're looking for. So this is the heart of the matter, is a box that contains it. See, now look, this is what you want to be clear on. See how sine starts in the middle of the box, goes high, goes low, back to the middle. Or a negative sign also starts in the middle, goes low, goes high, back to the middle. Notice that sine starts its cycle middle height. Let me circle that permanently. Middle height, and ends at the middle. So sine starts in the middle, ends in the middle of the box. Starts in the middle, ends in the middle of the box. The negative sign just goes down first, the positive sign just goes up first. As opposed to cosine, notice that cosine's a U shape. Starts top, ends up. See, this is a big U shape, isn't it? He starts at the top and ends at the top. Or, if he's a negative cosine, he starts at the bottom, he's an upside down. Whoops, I didn't draw that so well. He's an upside down U shape. He starts at the bottom, ends at the bottom, an upside down. So cosine fits in his box as a U shape, either a U shape going up or a U shape going down. That's what cosine is, a U shape up or a U shape down. Starts and ends on the bottom or starts and ends on the top, whereas sine always starts in the middle and ends in the middle of his box, doesn't he? See that difference? That's what you got to be clear on. He starts in the middle, ends in the middle. Sine does, whereas cosine starts and ends high. All right, so with that in mind, look at the box that I've put around. Now, when you make that box, try to start in the center. Now, some graphs are shifted off the center and they won't allow that. We'll get to those harder examples. But this one does. See right here? Boom. That's now why didn't I make the box go right? Well, it's because it never came up to the middle. It kind of went off the graph grid a little bit. See, I want a grid that goes all the way. So I did this. See how this goes middle to middle there? Which means it's a sine graph, isn't it? So you can go left or right. It doesn't really matter. You're just trying to put a box around one cycle. This is one cycle of the sine graph. One complete cycle, meaning from middle to middle, or if you're grabbing cosine, from top to top or bottom to bottom. So that's why I didn't go to the right, because it didn't come, the middle would be off the edge, probably at 6. I probably could have just said, hey, it's at 6, and could have made that work. That would have worked fine, actually. But anyway, I was clear if I went left. You can go left or right. It doesn't matter. Just capture one cycle. So see how this box here contains exactly one cycle of the sine. Why exactly one? Middle to middle. That's one cycle of sine. Okay, so once you got that, then you, well, let's go do that. Let's go back to our graph and do that. So middle, or let me do it in the red here. Middle to middle, there it is. So there's my box. So I just kind of ignore everything else. Tunnel vision, just focus on that. That's one cycle, and it's clearly sine because it goes middle of the box to middle of the box. It's not a U shape, up or down. That's cosine, not in that box. It's a sine. Okay, so that means our general formula here is going to be sine. It's going to be A sine BX plus C plus D. And now we got to start finding the A, B, C, and D. All right, how do we do that? Let's go back to the notes. So back to the notes. It says, okay, step 2. So step 1's the box. Step 2 down here. Within the red dash box, the graph starts, middle, blah, blah, blah for sine. So write the general form. Okay, we actually have done step 2 with general form. Step 3. Now it's all about what's in this box. So the middle of the box is your D. See how this is the middle of the box right here? The middle of the box is your D. Your amplitude is how far the box goes above and below the middle. So it goes up 1, down 1. So the amplitude, that's A. D is the middle of the box. Let's go back and do that. So we say, okay, so for our box, the middle, that's D. Here, I'll make it a capital D. D is 1. That's the middle of the box. Boom. And I don't need that arrow. And how far above and below? 1. That's A. So we got A, we got D that quick. All right. Now, if you go back to the notes, it'll tell you how to get to, so that's step 3. We're on to step 4. The width of the box is the period is 2 pi over B. So you can solve for B. So let's do that. Coming back here. What's the width? The width of the box. How far from, I said back, there we go. How far from there to there? The width of the box equals 6, clearly, doesn't it? And that's the period. The period is the width of the box. And the period formula, 2 pi over B, and let me put it right here, 2 pi over B equals 6, bring it over here, right? Because the period formula is 2 pi over B. So if the period is 6, 2 pi over B is 6. Solve for B, you know how to do this, right? Over 1, diagonal, cross multiply, 2 pi times 1 is 6 times B, divide by 6, boom. B is 2 goes into 6 3 times, pi over 3. So we got B, we got D, we got A. We're almost there. We just need C now. How do we get C? Well, C is going to be 0. Let me show you. C is all about the horizontal shift. It's minus C over B. And that means how far the horizontal shift, either right or left edge of the box, since the right is 0, is easier to use. So you can use the right edge or the left edge of the box, doesn't matter. And this one's right on 0, so the horizontal shift is 0. And the formula for horizontal shift is negative C over B. All right, so back we go. So for this one, again, here's our box. Let me just be super clear. Here's our box. You can use the right edge or the left edge. Since the right edge is on 0, I'll just use it. It doesn't matter. Either way, you're basically saying the cycle starts here or the cycle starts there. The cycle just repeats forever, so it doesn't matter which side you say is the starting side. It's just going to repeat that forever. So I'm going to use the 0. That's easier. So 0 is the edge, which is a horizontal shift of 0. So the horizontal shift for ours, the horizontal shift is 0. It's right there on 0. One of the edges of the box is right on 0. So the horizontal shift formula is negative C over B. So if you just multiply, I don't even need to plug in B really, because if I just multiply both sides by B, gonzo, 0 times B is just 0. C is 0. Negative 0, which is just 0. So C is 0. So we got everything. It's A. What was A? A is 1. So 1 sine B is pi over 3. Right there. X plus C is 0. D is also 1. Right there. There's the formula for that sine function.